Hey team, Matty231 here with another video doing the rear suspension on the E55 today. So we've just done the front suspension in the last video that you might have watched already. Today we're tackling the rear and it's going to be a lot trickier, I feel. So first off we've got airbags and we have our shocks, they're independent, whereas the old ones we do with the front ones are all in one assembly. So we've got airbag and shock absorber here that goes up into the basically the back of the boot or the trunk. So what we need to do here, we need to take off these panels first. We need to drop this, drop the exhaust and take the wheels off, obviously. Now to get these panels off, I'm going to have to undo all the screws, then lower the car back down so I can actually just get it properly off and do this one last one here to reveal underneath properly. And then we can, start taking the exhaust down, and it'd actually be cool to see what it sounds like with the exhaust off. But let's get into it. Panels off. Now we'll take the wheels off. Hearing protection, guys. Don't want to go deaf, we don't want to get ringing ears. Right team, so we're going to be dropping the rear subframe, so I've taken the front wheels off just to give a little more equal balance. Like if we leave the front wheels on, it's going to be even more weighted on the nose. So by taking them off, if we drop the subframe, it's just a little less weight, a little less sort of our center of gravity's not going to be as far to the front. But what we're going to do is we're going to use this stand here to just jack up, or just to sort of hold the front subframe so that any offset of weight sort of just lies on that and we're not unbalancing the lift, because that's obviously quite dangerous. But look, here's our shock absorber. You can see it's leaking. You know, over the years, it's original from what I can tell. By the looks of this airbag here on the little date stamp, it says 2004. Could be rebuilt like the front ones on this car were, but I doubt it. These will be original shocks. Oh, if we look at this one though, guys, 10. Maybe they have been replaced. That says 10 on it. Now whether that's... Oh yeah, no, these could have been replaced actually. But in saying that, would 12 years cause them to leak? I thought it would be a little longer than that. Can't spin around. It's the same on the other side though, from what I can tell. Yeah, 10 as well. So maybe these have been replaced. Okay. Regardless, they're leaking again, so we're putting our new ones in. These are MPE. I might just Google and see what that is. I assume that's some sort of brand. That's obviously not Bilstein or Bilstein or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that's an 04 shock as well. An 04 air suspension bag. But yeah, same on the ADS system here. It says 10 on the little date stamp. You can't see it. But oh yeah, there you go. It's a 2010. So that's all good. So what we're going to do now is just take the fender liners out. Start with that. gonna, I'll put these ends in a bag and zip tie it just to keep them clean. So guys, I'm just gonna repeat the same on the other side. Take the liner out, unhook the harnesses, put them in a bag. Let's continue. So now that we've got the inner guards off, guys, we're gonna lift the car up and start taking the exhaust off. So just by the red dick here, guys, we're gonna do these brackets first, these two. So let's take this bracket off. Now if we look back here, we've got to take this clamp off, and then basically we can take this left piece of the exhaust off here, and then we will also decouple the right piece. That includes also this resonator from here backwards. So we'll just gently crack these with, I'd say initially with just standard box wrenches, just to make sure it's not too rusted. They look alright, they're a bit rusty, but they're not too bad. So team, got the left exhaust out. It's quite hard actually. Like the S600 was a lot easier, funnily enough. It had like a bushing like this, but it was facing this way, so you just slid it on, whereas this one is on the side here and on the side here as well. So you've got and it's got like a bit of a lip on it. So I ended up using a pry bar here and wedged it basically between where the exhaust was here and this to sort of lever it off, pushing it off, because I don't know how else I was going to get it out, to be honest, and I don't know how we're going to get it back in. That'll be fun. But yeah, so now I've just got to get this other side off here, which will be even heavier because we've got the center resonator here as well. So I'm probably going to use some support from my new transmission jack here, and this is the first time we're using it basically, and it's going to hold up the subframe once we lower it. So we're going to chuck it here under that diff, under that subframe block there, and it'll sit on that. It's pretty beefy, pretty big hydraulic ram. It'll hold it there, so we can just lower that down gently. Yeah, cool. So we'll get this side off for now. Right, so we've dropped the exhaust off, guys. It's on the floor now. The right side's equally as hard. It takes a bit of jimmying to get the two end tips out of here. And one issue you will have is that the opposite one of this on that pipe there, it's hard to explain, but you can't actually pull it out without crossing. It might actually be, I think it's this one and the opposite pipe's clasp. You've got to cross them over, because if you don't, you can't actually pull the exhaust off. It pulls against each other. So how you do that is you just sort of, with a bit of force, sort of separate the exhausts and then try and squeeze the opposite flange across, and then you'll be able to take the whole exhaust out. And in the right hand bank, there's this black I'd say like a gasket sort of thing, metal gasket. Damn, just clean my hands. Which you have to take out. Mine just fell out, but it's alright. And yeah, you're left with a lovely black hole. So now that we've had a good sleep, we're going to get on to the next part, and that is taking off the rest of the exhaust. So unbeknownst to me, until I read fully, when it said remove complete exhaust system, that's exactly what it meant. Remove the complete exhaust system. So that's just brilliant. That's my favorite thing to be doing. So yeah, we've basically got to take the whole thing out, all for the sake of lowering the subframe. And the reason for that is because of the center bearing here on the drive shaft. We need to lower that, and then we need to remove these three attached to the flange on diff to then drop that out. So we're going to do that first. To do that, we also need to disconnect the oxygen sensors, the O2 sensors, the upstream and downstream connectors. So we've got one here, and then we've also got one up above the first cat, which is here. So they're actually not too hard to access. There's one bolt on top and bottom. But you know, hey, I say that, it might be quite tricky. We'll do the left side first, because that is independent of the rest of the system here, which is just mounted to the left. So guys, I've taken the exhaust fully out. To be honest, it's probably easier than the rears, because you don't have to get those annoying rubber grommets out. So if we just look under here, there's our exhaust manifold there. So it's a slightly different angle to this one. You see this one sort of it's on a slight angle pointing to the outboard edge of the car on the starboard side, on the right hand side, sorry. So you can see that yeah, there's just two bolts holding it in place. There's the brackets on each side holding it, and there's the flange on this specifics on this bank, on this right hand bank, and then it's straight through, and we've just got the crossbar that has four, so that little bar down there, that hold the rest in place. So now all I'm going to do is just, oh, there's our transmission shifter connection there. It's actually a bit of a pain, eh? You'd probably have to take the exhaust out just to do the shifter bushing and stuff. I wonder if I should do that now. Although in saying that, I won't have the right part for it yet. As you can see, team, there's also a little bracket up there, a little plastic bracket. And on my C55, it actually broke, and that cable was rubbing on the drive shaft here. So I might just see if I can get another one of those, or what I did was I put a zip tie around it, and then one of these little plastic trim bits here, and just tighten it right up. And that was a good way to replace it, because obviously that part there is quite specific, so it might be quite hard to get it. So I might actually definitely fix that. Those ones over there are obviously okay, but that top one obviously gets the most strain. So, but yeah, we're going to take the heat shields off here so we can get to that centre bearing, which is just down there a bit more. And we also need to be able to access the handbrake cables, which connect through here, so we can disconnect them from the basically, so we can disconnect them. We can leave them through there. We just need to unhook them and bring them through the gap. So we might have to possibly drop all the heat shields to get to that, and then it'll make it easy for us. Otherwise we're going to try and thread them through these gaps, but I really don't think that's going to work that well. Cool. And then we're probably not too far off really, apart from disconnecting the two main caliper bolts on each side. Might be alright. So we're now taking the drive shaft out. So we've just marked where it's currently positioned on the flange off the diff, the flex, and the propeller shaft flange. And what we're going to do first is loosen up this piece here. Sorry, no. What we're going to do is loosen up the 3 bolts. Loosen up those 4 bolts. Then we're going to, once those are loosened and pulled out, then we're going to loosen this out and essentially drop the full axle, the propeller shaft out from here. We're also actually just going to mark this as well, just so we know where exactly to put that back afterwards. So let's start undoing those bolts. Cool. So it's just a bolt with a little washer on it and your nut on the end. This one's like a nylock. I don't know if this is factory or not. Probably not. But that's fine. We'll reuse it. 1, So there's 4 of them. So now we can just twist the drive shaft around. Although actually there's one right there. Why would I miss that first? One more thing. Perfect. Now for extra safety, I'm just going to chuck my jack under the shaft here. So now we're going to loosen the centre joint here, and we'll probably end up actually just taking the whole thing out, and it can sit back here. So if I show you guys on the camera, we'll loosen up this centred bearing here, and that's where the splines meet the front half of the drive shaft. So from what I understand is that I drop this whole piece out. This will then rest on this centre joint here, so we'll just put a bit of soft material there, like a cloth, for it to sit on, and then I can take this whole end piece of the drive shaft out, which means obviously I'll need to get rid of this out of the way. So for now we'll just leave it in place while I take this out. So team, a bit of a project update from just the last clip. So it was quite major to get this flex disc off. I couldn't figure it out. Finally I did. I got a good size mallet. So I mallet up on the shelf there. And basically, if we look at the one on the front drive shaft, I was banging it against here to dislodge the little clips. I sort of didn't realize that these little clips here sit between the flange and the flex disc. And basically they bind it together. Because I was thinking I can't pry it out. And I don't want to go too hard because I don't want to break anything, so lucky I didn't. But whacking this piece here, that's attached to this, that's attached to the flange of the propeller shaft, dislodged these gently, and then I could finally pull it out with pretty, just with my hand. So I'm just a bit concerned because these are already sort of marked up a little bit, and the flange on the propeller shaft's already a bit marred up too, so I don't really want to go whacking anything back in or in place in the meantime. I'm just going to sort of leave it all as it is, and when we install it back in, I'm just going to gently put it all back together. So there's 2 that are stuck onto the flange. Oh sorry, well there was 2. There was one down the bottom there, which is this one, and there's 2 stuck to the flex disc. So I'll leave it as that for now. But what we've done is we've dropped the handbrake too. So it's a handbrake mechanism. What we will do is I will actually clean this up and lubricate it a bit before we put it back. I'll also clean these handbrake lines. This is a pretty lightweight unit, so I'm not worried about it hanging and holding off onto the cables. It's pretty light, it's not going to damage them. We've dumped the fuel tank, so we've undone this, and gently, because this is pretty brittle feeling, like it's definitely got no flex to it, which maybe it's not supposed to, but anyway. And we've drained the fuel and plugged the hole. So now it's literally just these brake lines and the Airmatic line, which is there. I've already undone most of it. And in theory, that is about it. Obviously, we just need to loosen up the shock tower, the shock mounts at the top. But we could even do that. Well, probably the next step right now is to take the trim out of the rear. Take the trim out so we can see the mounting points for the shock absorbers, and then we will probably finally lift the car back up, take the brake lines off, and then we can start dropping the subframe. So we'll take that rear main cover out, and what we'll do now is we'll take all the bits out of the boot. I like to have a good fire extinguisher in every car of mine, just in case I need it or someone else needs it. We bend this back. Depends on what car you've got. If you've got a certain models, obviously, or certain countries will give you a full-size spare. Whereas New Zealand, we don't do that. Sorry, New Zealand. I mean, Japan don't do that. New Zealand does do that. The S600 here is a New Zealand model, so an NZDM, I guess you could say, just like a JDM or a USDM. So the NZ model of this car has a full-size 19-inch spare in it, whereas this car has no spare at all. It's just got a inflatable, what's this thing here again? Inflatable tyre gizmo thing. This one's probably never been used by the looks of it. How old's this? I assume that's the date. It's probably like well past its use by date. It still works though, so it's all good. We don't need to take anything else further out of here, team. We want to basically take these side trims out. So that would possibly involve, just looking at it, we'll need to take this out. We'll need to take this seal off. Take that seal off, take this out. We don't need to take these out from memory. And we also need to take our little clips out between the boot here. So these rivets, there's one there. There's a few back here from memory. And these little Torx bits, these little cargo net slacks here are Torx bits, so we want to take all those out. Mine's actually got a missing trim piece here. It's got two missing actually, I don't know if that's good or not. Need to go and find some little things to fill that gap in. But yeah, so we'll just start gently prying everything off and getting into it. Before I do that, I should just look in the seal here. Oh yeah, no, actually team, we don't probably need to take that out. We can leave that seal in there. We will need to take this out though, as I say. So there's those little things there. I like to use a little pick like this. I've actually got some nicer ones. These ones look a bit scratched up already, which is a bit annoying. So you pop them out like that. Just pull them out. Simple. And yeah, another one. I think there's 3 of them. No, 2 of them. Same thing there along the base here. Same on that side. Then we're going to unassemble this whole thing. But what we're going to do now is we're actually going to take the battery off. We're going to disconnect the battery, and because we're going to get eventually pretty soon to doing the brakes, we don't want the SBC system triggering while we're doing the brakes. Cool. So let's continue. Right, team. So before we fully disconnect the top of the shocks here, right at the top, we're just going to undo the airbag connecting bolts and the shock absorber connecting bolts first, because we don't want to drop this out and then stretch the airbag and break it. So it's already relatively well extended, so we want it to be able to sort of hold itself up rather than let it fully dropping down and breaking. So I'm just going to finish by undoing these, and then we can finish taking the shocks out of the top there. And just don't forget, you've also got the ADS attached to the shock here. So you want to make sure you unthread the harness and disconnect that so you can pull it out properly. So team, we've dropped the rear shocks out, undo the top hat, undo this bolt, and the shock sucks itself up so you can bring it and pull it out again. So I've got them on the floor there. Quite a tricky job. Now what we're going to do is just deflate via the connector on the airbag. We're going to deflate these bags so we can take them out now that we've pulled the bolt out. And then apart from the brake lines, we're actually ready to drop the whole subframe.
Oh, is it the right one or not?
Yeah, is it though? Yeah, it's fine. Yep.
It was sparked up, eh?
Oh, did it?
Yeah, it was like...
That's right. Yeah, it'll spark a little bit.
Here you go, Jake.
Oh. Here to mute the video. It shows you how much this bag was pushing everything down, bro. Oh, it's dripping water, eh? Weird. Huh. Still tight? So now we're fucking flooding the
Let's go for a cup of tea.
Yeah, let's leave it in. So I'll just gently think it down now. Oh, yeah, that's it. Sweet, nice. Okay, you got it right?
Yeah.
So let me just check. Nothing here. It's all independent, eh? Nothing's caught. So brake line, still fucking just hold it up. Yeah.
Just do ones. Oh. Oh. You go.
Right?
Turn down. Oh, hold fire. Oh yeah, you're all good.
Cool.
Yep.
Yep, bro. Yep.
Yeah, we're good.
We're just all good up here. Just check again. Yeah, nothing's touching. Nothing's touching. Cool. Good work. Okay,
Nice.
let's go.
Let's go down.
Safe to go now.
Oh! What are you doing?
Touchy, yeah, bro. There we go. Nice.
Okay, it's cool, eh, bro?
Yeah, bro. It's mean. Good work.
How do we go all down?
No, bro. On the other side, there's a hook one, and it just hooks over the
Oh, nice.
edges here. Here you go. Nice. My question is how much weight's on this now?